Hello, good evening, everybody. Hope
Hi
you're
there.
well on this lovely Wednesday evening in February. Hello, Rose. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Great stuff.
Doing well.
Brilliant.
So here we are with our Presenting Like a Pro Part 2 in our
Part
5
two.
Steps digital sessions. And tonight we're going to be looking at Sway, at Flipgrid and at Whiteboard. So I am going to share my screen and then we will get started.
Some of my favourite tools. I love a Sway.
And can you see that okay, Amanda?
Yep. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. There we are. Presenting Like a Pro, Part 2.
So a wee bit about us. My name's Ros Lee and I'm Digital Development Officer in North Ayrshire Council in Education, and I don't do all three things at the one time. I have a very lazy dog who you won't hear at all because he'll be sleeping. So he's safely downstairs just now, and you will find me on Twitter see my Twitter handle down at the bottom of the screen. And over to you, Amanda.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda Pickard. I am a primary school teacher, but I'm on secondment at the moment as a digital learning officer for my local authority. That's all the things about me, and I don't do them all at the same time as well. You can find me on Twitter at AGOBPickard. If you hear any birds tweeting, that is my budgies. They always decide to get loud when I'm online, so I apologise for that. Dog is sleeping, cats are out, so fingers crossed we're okay.
Sorry, that was me touching my very sensitive trackpad there. If anybody's got any questions, if you want to put them in the chat, or you can tag Tablet Academy or Amanda or myself on Twitter and ask a question, particularly obviously if you're watching this on catch up. So don't be afraid to ask. We will try our best to answer your questions. As we said, this is session 2. We did session 1 on Monday night. And hopefully tonight's session is going to be a bit calmer because we'll have no punctures and I don't have any plumbers in my house making lots of noise. So the MEC code there for you to redeem is down at the bottom of the screen, and it will appear later on in the session as well. Okay, so we're going to get started with Sway. Now, Sway, I love Sway. I've been using it for a number of years. I absolutely love it as a presentation tool. Unfortunately, it's now not supported by Microsoft, and we've been trying. I think every opportunity we get, I know that the MIEEs in Scotland tag Microsoft in and put Sway and say how much we love it, because we want them to really do something about it, because it is really good. But be aware that the things that you're going to see and we're going to talk about, they won't develop. As far as we're aware just now, they're not going to develop anymore. But it's still really, really good. I like to use it a lot. You can share. It's one of the very few things you can actually share out with Glow. There's only Forms and Sway that we can actually share out with Glow. Everything else is within Glow. So I use it quite often. I tweet links to Sway out quite often, and they actually display beautifully on a mobile device. They look really good on a mobile device. You can collaborate with other people on it. You can share them. You can have groups of children collaborating on them as well, and it's always live, which I really like, because I'm a real stickler for grammar. And if I realise there's a mistake in something and I've sent it out, if it's a Word document or a PDF and I've sent it out, it's done and it's always going to be there. If I find a spelling mistake in my SWE, I will go and change it, because I know I can. And the next time somebody looks at it, it's going to, the change has been reflected. Because, as I say, it is a live document. You can embed all sorts of media into a SWE, and you can also see how many people have looked at your SWE, which is quite nice. And you'll see that's actually my SWE homepage, and you'll notice quite a few of mine have got the same image, and I do that because it helps me to kind of work out where things are. If you've used forms, you'll be familiar with the fact that there's now collections in forms. Unfortunately, there's not collections in SWE, and I've got quite a lot. That's only the top 12 there, but I've got rather a lot, and the easiest way for me to find them sometimes is, as I say, using the same image. So if it was a newsletter, I'd probably use the same image, and that one, the ones that you can see there, the sort of pinky purple ones, are resources for some of the training that I do in my authority. That's what the analytics look like. Sometimes it's actually quite upsetting how, when you see how few people have looked at some of your SWEs, when you hope people are going to be reading them. It does tell you how much time was spent, average time spent, how many people just glanced at it, how many people read it in depth, and so on. So that's really quite handy. You don't know who it is, but you do know the size of the audience that your SWE has reached. SWEs, we can go from nothing at all. We can also create from a template, and we can create from a document. We can upload a document. And what I've done in the next couple of screenshots, you're going to see different what the different SWEs look like. You basically add cards. In a PowerPoint, you would be adding slides, but in SWE, you add cards. And we'll just go on and have a wee look at some of the, and that's me back at my homepage. You land there when you click on SWE down the side. You land there, and down at the bottom it says all my SWEs. So that's the next page that you see there. That's when starting from a template, and you type your topic in, and it gives you suggestions. I just picked pirates. And as you can see, it gave me various different options there. So I would choose one, and it will create an outline for me, and it will give you it'll give you a bit of structure. It will give you some headings. It will give you some images, and it will give you some text as well. So it's quite a good start. I actually don't really tell pupils very much about that, because I don't want them to cheat. I would rather they created them themselves. So I'm not, I don't really let on too much about that to pupils. But it is available.
I was just going to say, Ros, I don't tend to use this one either, but I have used it a couple of times because it does add in references and a bibliography at the end. So it's a really good way of even finding different things to look at in terms of research. But yeah, I tend not to start from a topic. It gives you a lot of information, and then I feel like deleting cards to kind of summarize it a little bit better.
Yep. So that one, that's a blank SWE. And what I did there was, when you start off, you've only got the top title, and you add cards in. So I've added there a heading, a text card, and an image card. You basically build your SWE up depending on what you want. You can have different sections, and as you can see there at the side, it's coming up with suggested images, and it's not actually got it. It will default to those ones all the time. As soon as you start typing words in, it will start to suggest images, which are really good. It searches copyright-free images, and that's actually one thing I find very good. If you are using this with pupils, they don't have to spend a lot of time going away and searching. As we know, pupils quite often get a bit carried away looking for images. So they can concentrate and type in content, and they can pull the images in from the side without having to actually go and look for them. This is one I did as a test. I don't really like using this. This is from a document. This is from a Word document, and you upload the document into the SWE, but SWE decides what your document's going to look like. And as you can see there, and I left the wee green box to see what it says. it's copied one of my sentences and highlighted it, and it thinks it's created a visual effect. I don't like that. I'm a bit, again, Amanda and I had a discussion about this the other night about PowerPoint Designer. I'm a wee bit of a control freak, and I don't like a computer telling me what my things should look like. So I wouldn't like you. I don't use that at all. Now, what I did again, it lumped all my most of my text together, and it was an article. I actually copied that text off a website to dump into a Word document for this, but it had titles, so subtitles. So I went and added the subtitles and re-uploaded it, and this time it actually picked up the headings. But I'm not keen. I don't know about you, Amanda. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a strange one because it just does decide what it looks like, and quite often I find myself adding in cards or deleting cards, or I don't really like the way it's kind of decided on how the document should be broken up. I have used it with PDFs as well, and I find that the sways can be incredibly long because it's broken up far too much.
Yep.
And then it takes quite a lot of time, so I would prefer just to create from scratch, to be honest.
I think as well, it's if I was going to, rather than using a document, I might copy and paste the text from a document into a sway that I had designed myself, but I wouldn't use that. But it is an option for people to use. These are just some of the things that that I would use a sway for. That's basically the ideas are limitless. It's only it's your imagination that's that's going to limit what you do with them. I use them a lot for newsletters. This is when I did an accessibility session for my NQTs, and this was a sway I created as a resource for them. So I gave them the link to the sway at the end of the session with screenshots, just some information, wee screenshots, and I quite like that that type of design. And we'll talk about design in a minute or two. But that's just one example of what I did, and we've got a couple of other screenshots. This was one I did during the first lockdown, and it was a sway to explain to staff how to use Teams, because obviously in sort of March 2020, not a lot of people were using Teams. So I created wee videos and put them in and did various different aspects of Teams. This was when I did a few years ago. We did this across our RIC, and we used it for digital storytelling. That was one of the first uses that I made of sway, and we did it across the 4 authorities, and we passed the sway. We basically shared the sway with other schools, and the pupils wrote a story. That was the schools there. So I gave them a starter paragraph, and then they'd create a story, and it ran all week. We did that. It moved from school to school during the week. We started on the Monday afternoon and worked till the Friday morning, and they were asked to put images in as well. They to put appropriate images in, and they actually did. I was absolutely gobsmacked by it. Was primary 5s, I think, that did it, and I was absolutely gobsmacked by the quality of the writing. So that was a really good use of sway. Amanda, that's one of yours.
Yeah, so I use Sway for all of these things, and also pulling together some resources for lessons. So this was an art lesson, and we were talking about tint and tone and shade, and I had added in images, I had added in text and learning intentions, and then at the bottom there was examples of some pictures and things, and we were going to be painting. So I created quite a lot of lesson plans just in Sway, and then I could actually share it with the class. This is one of the ones that I created years and years and years ago, and I've actually reused it with different classes, and I've just updated the text slightly to make it more appropriate for whatever class I'm sharing it with. So it's really about putting that content and presenting that information to the pupils, and being able to go back and look at it again. So I would have something like that on my Promethean panel or interactive board, and then my pupils can go and actually go forward or go backwards in this way to double check some things that they've been learning about. This was another one that I created. It was about making think invisible, and it literally is just a stack of cards of all the making Think Invisible routines that I could find, and it was just a kind of reference thing, and I would just use it as information for me and my colleagues, just as part of planning. So I would just scroll through the cards and think, right, that's the appropriate thinking routine that I'm going to use. So that's a SWE that I've shared with colleagues rather than pupils and students.
That's another one.
Yeah, so I pulled together during actually the first lockdown. I used SWE a lot to gather together some information about sounds, phonics, because I was teaching primary 1. And it was a really easy way for me to share all of that information and the teaching and the learning and knowledge with parents at home, because I just needed to get the URL out to them. So it was a really easy way. And I pulled together images, audio, video, all sorts of things about each sound. And then that was shared with families. I could embed this SWE in a thing link, and then it was shared, the thing link was shared with families so that they could go back and use it over and over again. And certainly the feedback from families was it was phenomenal, because the primary ones could be independent. Just click on the tag in the thing link and then just scroll through those little arrows. They knew to tap on the arrows to go through the SWE, and they can actually just work their own way through those lessons on each sound. So SWE is tremendously easy to use and share. I think that's one of the best things about it, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I think I know quite a few of my schools used SWEs during lockdown as a way of delivering lessons. Some teachers actually gave out the week's lesson. They must have had quite lessons. They must have had quite long SWEs, but they gave out week's lessons within the SWE, and it was because they could easily share the SWEs with the families. They could email them out to families, for example, or use school apps.
I used a blog as well.
Sorry?
I used a blog, so I shared it on blogs, embedded it in ThingLink, and I think that was the easiest way for me to get those things out.
Another use of it that what I know a few friends who are music teachers use a SWE for is within forms. If you're familiar with forms, you cannot, they want pupils to listen to music, and you can ask a pupil to upload into a form, but you cannot actually upload an audio file into a form. You can put a YouTube video in, but you can't upload an audio file. So some of my friends who are music teachers actually use a SWE, and they embed the form into the SWE, and they put the audio files into the SWE, and with instructions in what part to listen to. So it's got lots and lots and lots of uses, SWE. The design, there is, again, we're back to this control thing that I have, there is limited control over your design. When you are storyline is when you're actually putting the cards together. The design, it will allow you to have a vertical or a horizontal or a slide system of the way it moves. I quite like vertical, and I tend to do most of mine vertical. I don't know why, because you obviously don't read a book like that. But that's what I do. My newsletters always do vertical. I'm not keen on horizontal. Slides will give you each page that you create, each section you create on a page. Horizontal gives you a bit of the next page. And if you've got photographs, it looks okay because you've got a bit of a photograph. But if you have a wee bit of text, so if you've got the first 3 words of a whole, in lines of a paragraph, it can look a wee bit odd to me. I personally don't like that. You've got all these different templates here that you can use, and you can customize them as well. You can change the colors and so on. You can change the font. There we go. You can animate your images. And again, a sort of, maybe warning's the wrong word, but I created one years ago on the moon. And I used the intense animation in the moon. I had it on a Promethean, and it kept moving in and out, and it actually made me feel a bit queasy. It's a bit, I don't know, a bit of motion sickness there. Your text size, again, that's one thing that you can do small, normal, or large. I like to be able to say 12 point, 14 point, or whatever. So you have limited control over the design of your SWE. If you're feeling brave, you can use Remix, which is up here, and Remix will actually just give you a random a random choice of designs, and you can click an undo to go back and undo that. But as it says there on the slide, it's just trial and error. It's basically finding something you like, and depending on your template, the images can sometimes be really large, or sometimes they're smaller. It just, as I say, you get to know your way around it. One of the really good things about Sway, as we said earlier on, is being able to share. So we've got up at the top, we've got the share up there, and you can share anyone with the link. That's the one I use if I'm tweeting out newsletters. You can say specific people, or in your organisation is within Glow. So it's within your Microsoft tenancy if you're not in Glow, and you can allow people to view or edit. Well, as you can imagine, it'd be quite well if it's a newsletter, I don't want people to edit it anyway. And I never let anybody edit my space unless I'm allowing somebody to work. You can also have a password as well. You can create a password for it if you want, if you're not going to put it out publicly. There are settings there that you can have. You can actually print them, and I kind of ignore that one as well. I never tell people to print because I don't see the point in printing something that you're doing online. The accessibility checker, and you can actually set an autoplay and you can loop it continuously. So if, for example, you were having, well, not at the moment maybe, but if we get back to face-to-face parents' evenings, for example, or an open night in school, you could be running a Sway on a screen, and if you set it to loop continuously, it will just continuously play through that Sway for you. Okay, anything else, Amanda, that you want to add to what I've said there?
Yeah, I just think that the beauty of Sway is the fact that you can focus on the content and not really worry so much about the design and the colour theme and things like that. You can very quickly just pick a theme, pick the direction that you want to view the Sway, and shade it out really quickly. And I think that in terms of getting information and knowledge out to your audience, whether that is your pupils or your families, it's a really great tool to use. So I know, Ros and I have had this discussion about, we have limited control over this and it just chooses to do these things for you. But I actually think that's the beauty of Sway. It just takes away all the making sure that there's a consistent theme and color scheme. You don't need to worry about any of that. I have used Remix before. I'm quite brave, and I quite like it. And then sometimes I think, oh no, Control Z to undo that. So there's always an option to undo. But yeah, no, I like Sway, and I think that the beauty of it is just the fact that you can just focus on the content, get that in there, make it look really good, really quickly, and it's so easy to share.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It does look good really quickly without seemingly very little effort from yourself. It does look very, very good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and regardless of the device that you're viewing it on, it looks good.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's a mobile phone or an iPad or whatever it is, whatever the device, your audience gets a really good experience.
Yeah. Okay.
Super duper.
Over to you, Amanda.
Thank you very much. So Flipgrid. Flipgrid is part of the Microsoft family. And it is, I took a couple of screenshots here to share with you from Flipgrid. And it is social learning. It's effectively a video discussion tool. And you can use it online. And there's also an app. The one thing I would say to you, you need to make sure that your local authority has the DPIE paperwork approved in place for you to use it with students. And every local authority is different. So you just need to check that before you start using Flipgrid. But it is a phenomenally useful tool, and Flipgrid have got a very strong kind of mission statement, which is on if you click when we go, Ros. And this is their mission statement. It's about empowering every learner on the planet to share their voice. And I think this is the great thing about Flipgrid, and not necessarily your learners or pupils or students if you don't have the DPIE paperwork in place, but it is a really good tool to share knowledge, to present information to an audience, and it's again really accessible, easy to use, quick to share. So Ros, next slide, please. So just as I've said, why use it? It is so easy to use. It's very easy to share. You don't need a login. You don't need a special app to view it. You can share one video from Flipgrid using a URL. It's super easy to access. And, you know, once you've got those videos, you record whatever way you're recording. You can record it directly into Flipgrid, or you can record from your screen recording or your phone. I've done all of these things and upload and then reuse and rewatch it. And it's engaging and it's safe. And when I was thinking about this session tonight, I actually went away and I tried to get a kind of little snippet of some pedagogical research. And there's so much, there's decades of research about the pedagogical benefits of using video for learning. And I think it was like maybe 20 or 30 years ago that the link between visual clues and memory process and the recall of new knowledge was really helped by using video. So that's a really good reason to use any sort of video content for teaching and learning. And Flipgrid allows you to do that really simply and really quickly and easily. So yeah, I would highly recommend it, and I'm going to explain why. So this is how I used it. So there's various different aspects of Flipgrid. There's you can set topics in a group, but I predominantly use the shorts functionality of it, which just meant I was recording short videos. And there's loads of things you can do. In this one, I've actually split the screen and I've uploaded screenshots for a number talk. And I did this during the first lockdown, so I had my face on camera, although you don't need to, that's entirely up to you. But I wanted my wee ones to be able to see me, because at that time we didn't have Teams cameras on for pupils and they were primary 1. So I recorded things like this, so number talks, and as I said, I embedded it in a thing link and then shared the thing link in the team, because my wee ones were able to log into Teams and click on a link and send me an emoji, and then laterally through a blog so that parents could access it for the pupils as well. So I used it for number talks, and if Ros does one wee click, I also used it for this was a music challenge. So this was me full screen making an absolute crazy person idiot out of myself, which is fine by me. And I was setting a wee music challenge, and Flipgrid has lots of frames and you can upload your Bitmoji, and there's like little stickers and things like that. So you can get really, really creative and make it even more engaging than just a video. I also used it for teaching phonics. And this was me literally just sitting in my house, and I had sitting in front of my laptop with my camera on, and I just recorded myself as I would normally teach phonics with you know, my little cards, my little sound cards, and I just introduced that sound to the wee ones. So it was just a plain video, just me holding up the cards, making the sounds and the actions and doing all that sort of stuff. So I also used it for this was a sound treasure hunt. So yeah, you're able to kind of upload all these images and just place them around. So every time I clicked on my screen, another picture would appear. And if you don't know, this was a sound hunt for the sound D. So there was dog, drum, dice, doll, and duck, and dolphin. And so I was asking the kids at home to go and around the house and find a couple of things beginning with that sound. So super engaging, and I got really great feedback from parents about this use of Flipgrid. I also used it for, hopefully there's another slide there. Yeah, letter formation. Oh,
sorry. Go back. Sorry.
Letter formation. So I had really tricky. I was using a touch screen to do. So I again split the screen. This was a kind of just a whiteboard, and I actually wrote the letters or a and e as I was teaching the sound. So this was about letter formation, and it was just demonstrating the correct where to start, which direction to write in, and I recorded that. So when my pupils were watching this video, they could go away and practice writing that sound, those two letters and that sound. So that was about letter formation. And as I said, this was so easy to share. It was embedded in a thing link, and the thing link was shared on the blog at the time. And I also have those thing links still today with all these recordings, which my class can go back and watch at any time for revision or whatever. And I think there might be another one. Ros? Oh, right, we're moving on. So that was all primary school examples of what I was using ThingLink for. So the next 3 slides are actually secondary examples. And this was a video made by Sarah Clark for her students who were unable to be in class at the time. So it was pre-recorded, and I think if Ros clicks on it, it might play, so you just get a small kind of idea of what it looks like.
We are now on to lesson 3. So we've done a little bit about electrical safety,
Just
and you should know the difference between what a conduct.
So Sarah, when she recorded this, she wanted to show her face, although you don't have to. You can just record audio. You don't have to have a video of you in it. You can record just a video of your screen, or you can upload a video, or you can just record audio. And this was for pupils who weren't able to be in class. So it was pre-recorded. Sarah felt it was good to show her face, so she was explaining and talking through what she wanted them to do. And it was about presenting information for the pupils. So the video is deliberately short to keep it engaging for those pupils. So that was a S2 electricity lesson. And again, you can see that Sarah's used her touchscreen device to mark up that in the video as well at the same time. And can we get back to the PowerPoint, Ros? Oh,
yep.
Fabulous. And then the next slide, again, is another example.
Here we go, down here.
If we just
Sorry, it's right underneath the control bar.
Oh no. Okay.
The word Flipgrid is right under the control bar. Oh no, it's not going away.
Is it not?
No, if I click there, it's just going to click next.
And will the video not play when you click on it? No.
Oh, I got it quickly there.
There we go. There we go. Okay.
And welcome to part 2. So we'll split this section about detecting proteins up into 2 videos. So we'll now look at what happens after the immunoassay has been created.
Pause just there, Ros. I mean, we can show you bits right across this video, but effectively this video was about presenting lots of information, knowledge base, and it was recording over a PowerPoint. So Sarah created the PowerPoint, and then she actually recorded herself over PowerPoint in Screen Recorder, and then uploaded that. It was about thinking, where can you store that video so that it's accessible to her students? And what she did was she recorded it, screen recorded it in PowerPoint, and then uploaded the whole thing into Flipgrid so that pupils had easy access to it. They could take their own notes. And the reason for putting it in Flipgrid is predominantly ease of access. Not all of the students had a PowerPoint app on their device. So they weren't, if the PowerPoint was shared, they wouldn't be able to access it. If the PowerPoint was shared in Teams, then they would have to open it in Teams and wait for it to download, and that would take time. Again, if you're using this sort of video in school, then the students don't have access to YouTube. So YouTube isn't really an option for a lot of local authorities anymore. And certainly in my local authority, pupils and students, we don't give them access to YouTube anymore because we have other tools that we can use for video and store in video. She chose not to use Stream because, again, in Stream you have to be logged into Glow, and that's just, it's time. So you're logging into Glow, and you have to make sure that you have access to the internet and you're logged in, and it's just an extra steps. Whereas if you share the URL for this Flipgrid video in Teams, they click on it and it opens up, and all the pupils can do is watch it. They can't do anything else with it. They can't share it on. They can't do anything with it. So it's just a really good, easy way of actually sharing that that video. And when I was speaking to Sarah the other night, she said that she had recently had a bit of an issue with a student who was using a device that the PowerPoint was shared in Teams, and because the device didn't have the app, it didn't open up in the online web or anything, so the student couldn't access the content that she needed them to access. Whereas if it had been converted into a video, uploaded into Flipgrid, and then the URL of the Flipgrid video would have been shared, then that wouldn't have been a problem. So just bear that in mind. Not everybody has PowerPoint app on their devices, and so it's much, much easier and quicker just to share the URL for a Flipgrid video.
Right, I'm trying to grab this. It keeps changing. It's not playing ball. No, I can't get that one to.
Can you not get that one? No.
I can't grab that one. No, it keeps changing too quickly before I.
Oh no, what a shame, because this, oh, there you go. Can you see it now? If you go down to the bottom and see. Oh my goodness. I should have put the URL. I put the URL on the
place
side.
for notes for the future.
On the other side. Yeah, definitely.
No,
if
sorry.
it pops up, it might pop up if that. There you go. Oh, don't go to no, don't go to the. So if you go up and then just wait, but don't go to the left there. So come out of the purple.
Oh no! Oh no!
No! Oh no!
No. Nope, I don't want that.
No. So whilst Ros is getting, I'm so sorry, Ros, I should have thought of that. So the next one is an explanation video that Sarah had created, and it's a great video for giving an explanation for a task that her S1 pupils had already completed. So once they'd completed it, it was literally just about explaining what buoyancy was. It was a lesson on buoyancy and explaining what that was about. And just to make it a bit more interesting, Sarah had actually created a PowerPoint slide and then uploaded the video or embedded the video in the PowerPoint slide, but made it small so it looks like it's on an interactive board. And it's just about keeping it short, because young people are watching videos all the time. They might be on TikTok or YouTube and they're watching these really quick videos. So it was just in terms of sharing something that was really engaging and motivating to keep their interest. So it was a background in PowerPoint, the screen recording, the video was put into the PowerPoint. It was saved as a video and then uploaded to Flipgrid, which sounds really complicated, but actually it's not. And if anybody does want a hand to see how that works in action, please reach out, because I know that Sarah and Ros and I would be more than happy to share exactly how that works out. So and it was again about access, just ease of access. None of the pupils needed to have the PowerPoint app on their device, and they can easily get it. So, and certainly it's easier for teachers. If you've used Stream before, you need to set permissions for every video that you share. So yeah, and my last slide on Flipgrid is about some ideas. Sharing instructions. I've shared instructions all the time using Flipgrid videos, and it's really great because then your pupils can have it. And once you've got that video, you can use it year on year, introducing new knowledge, presenting explanations, setting challenges, all the things that I did. Teachers presenting information. If you do have a DPIA paperwork agreed in your local authority, the pupils could be presenting that information. They can be creating the same sort of videos. Great way of perhaps assessing their knowledge. And we're going to be talking about that when we get to the next sessions, and for sharing with pupils at home and for pupils working independently in class. Brilliant way to use Flipgrid. If anybody's got any other ideas for using Flipgrid, please let us know. Tag us in Twitter, tag Tablet Academy Scotland. And I think I'm going to hand back to Ros. And I'm so sorry I took so long.
Okay.
And we're going to whoosh through the last part.
Okay, we're going to whoosh through the last part. So this is Whiteboard, and there's a couple of different versions of it. It's a standalone app that you can get for your computer. It's also in Teams, and it can be attached as a team assignment. You can put a tab at the top of a team channel. They can be shared and so on. Now, again, a sort of little word of warning here. The standalone app, I can't remember there's something wrong with it. And Microsoft withdrew the capabilities that the online version has, that the Teams version has. They are reinstating them, but they had to basically strip it back to the beginning again. So it went back the way it lost the ability to do certain things. So it's kind of almost there, but not quite at the moment. So you can use it on an iPad as well. You can use it on a phone. Anything that you create in a team is automatically stored in your whiteboard. So if you open up your whiteboard app on your computer and you've not actually made any in your computer, you've made them in a team, they're all stored in there. As you can see, we've got reactions and we've got stickies as well. And you can either have it in your whiteboard app, or you can export the final whiteboard to out as a PNG file and share it with your pupils. Everything saves automatically, and if you've been doing something and you go away, you leave it, you quit, you go back, it's exactly the way it was before. These are just some uses of it, and these are some examples of templates. I know that they're not terribly visible because they're not huge, but it gives you an idea of the kind of style. We've got a Venn diagram up here, and we've got various different arrangements that you can use within the templates. You can actually save the whiteboards to OneNote, and you can also save them in Teams as well. So they've got lots and lots of uses within either using it with staff or using it in a class situation. These are the kind of things that you get. This pen here causes some issues for people. That is actually an arrow. If you draw a line with this second pen here, it will give you an arrowhead at the end. That's the ordinary pen. We've got a lovely multicoloured pen, which I love. It's glittery. And we've got the highlighter and the eraser as well. So these are the kind of things that you can insert into your whiteboard. You can insert documents, and we'll have a wee look at that in a minute. You can insert any images at all. You've got your templates, we've got shapes. You can create shapes, different sizes, different colours. You can put outlines around them, and we've got the reactions as we saw in the slide before, which is quite a good way of voting. And we've also got some sticky notes, and you can type as well within it. So this is Whiteboard within Teams, and up at the top here there's a few settings, and this is where you can allow other people to edit. Now I've got that switched off just now, so I would be demonstrating on that myself in the class, but if I want some participation, I can switch that on at any time. So it might be that I want to demonstrate something and then I want some input from the class, some reactions, so I could go up to here and I could change that to edit. If I go to my next one here, I have the ability to format the background as well. I can make it I can put square paper on, I can change it, I can have dots, I can have different colours as well. If I'm dealing with somebody with Mears-Irlen or dyslexia, that's actually quite a nice colour anyway. It's a bit kinder in the eyes than the white, so I can change the background on it. The templates, we've got different ones here. You would just choose whatever you were doing and it gives you some suggested templates. There's some of the brainstorming ones. Then we've got the sticky notes, and you can either have single ones or you can have grids as well, and you can add to your grid by pulling out more single ones. This is just an example of one that I did on glaciers, and I was asking the class to tell me what the factors were determining erosion and the features of glaciation. So they were typing in and I could give them a tick or a thumbs up. And this is just to let you see what I wrote that. I just use my finger. I've got a touch screen computer and I just use my finger to, I do have a pen, but I just use my finger to write there at the side as well. And we can add in things like the shapes like arrows and so on, and we can move them around. This is a template. This was a brainstorming one here, and the pupils could add in their own sticky. I had 3 to start with, and then they could add their own into that. This is what the whiteboard app looks like. So this is what mine looks like on my computer. So when I open up my app, I can go and create a new whiteboard, or I can go and look at the other ones. And there's the one in glaciation that I was talking about there. It was actually in a team. So it's pulled all my whiteboards from my team. On the whiteboard app, what I've done here is I have pasted in I've written sharks, typed that in, and I've stuck in a picture as well. And down here at the bottom, you can see we can add all these different things like PDFs, Word documents and so on, lists and note grids. Now, I actually added a Word document, and you can see here, and I added the document, and then if I go up to here to the padlock, I can lock that to the background. And what that does is that means that's not movable. Now, all I did there was actually move that picture over onto the top there, but I can annotate over that, or I can ask people to annotate over the document so it's locked and it will not move around the screen. I wrote the word sharks, again, using my finger, and what I can do here is, if I use the lasso, I can lasso it, and I can use, well, we refer to it as the magic wand, and it changes the writing. I actually think my writing's okay, because that's what it changed it to. I wasn't terribly impressed. That I thought that was a massive improvement. But anyway, and we've also got a ruler down here as well, so we can draw straight lines on the whiteboard. They can be shared. If I wanted to share that whiteboard with other people, I can just click on that and I can share. I can type in, obviously we're in Glow, so I can type in their Glow username and share that whiteboard with others as well. And there's the settings, and you'll see it says up here, coming soon, the new whiteboard. It was there, and it's going to come back. You can draw shapes, and it will change your drawings into actual shapes. And again, we can send to OneNote, post to Teams and so on. We can do a variety of things, and it's got the accessibility checker as well in there. Okay, that was quite a quick roundup of whiteboard. So please remember, if you've got any questions, you can ask us on Twitter, or we're just going to come out of sharing this and see if we've got anything in the chat. And the MEC code is there, and there'll also be a feedback form linked in the chat for you.
Yeah, just take a quick screenshot of the MEC code. Please, please, please use it, redeem it. Go to the Microsoft Educator Centre, click on your little profile. It says redeem code. That's where you redeem it. And then you can add it into your GTCS profile. So it's definitely worthwhile doing that. Get credit for attending this session. Thank you so much for coming along this evening. I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, please put a note on Twitter, tag Tablet Academy Scotland, Ros or I, and we'd be more than happy to get back to you and help you with any questions.
Okay, I think that's us. We've ran over tonight.
We've run over a little bit. Yes, it was all the sway love, but yes, not to worry.
Right. Thanks very much for tuning in.
Thanks,
and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye.